Good evening. Welcome to another episode of Dissect. I go by the name of Novelist.
And I go by the name of Jewel.
And of course, we want to encourage your viewers to submit any questions you have to our WhatsApp page that will be rolling across the screen. And of course, if you are looking at us on Facebook or YouTube, make sure you subscribe to the channels, all right? Whichever channel that is. Our guest will be joining us very shortly. But before we get into the guest, let's show a little clip from the guest and give you guys a good idea what he does, what he's been through, and then we'll get into the guest. So let's get into the clip right here.
I came across the Bois and the matadors, cowboys and Indians, thrilling spectators, different kind of people playing mass, all in the street, jumping high and chanting loud to the beat. Here, man, those were the days, brothers, those were the days, those were the days, sisters, those were the days.
Yes, there you have it. Ladies and gentlemen, let's bring to the stage none other than former Calypso King of Dominica, the man we call the Mighty Wizard. Good evening, sir.
Good evening to you guys. Hello, everyone. Welcome. Thanks for having me with you.
Thanks for joining us.
Yes, thank you for being here.
It's my pleasure. It's my pleasure.
So, what would you rather? Would you rather call? Would you rather us call you by alias or your government name?
Hey, anyhow you feel comfortable, I'm good with that, man.
All right, all right.
Wizard, Merlin, the Wizard, it's all good.
All right. So, like I said, we have the wizard here, Merlin himself. So, Merlin, I guess let's go ahead and introduce yourself to the viewers.
Okay, long introduction, short introduction.
It's all yours.
Viewers,
It's all about you, you know.
Yes.
Thank you for joining all the viewers and all the listeners. My name is Merlin Saint-Hilaire. I'm known in the Calypso world as the Wizard from Dominica. I was the Calypso King of Dominica in 1989 and 1990. That's a long time ago, quite a long time ago. I've been involved in music in some form, for almost all of my life. I'm still kind of involved with music.
Right.
Music is life. Music is love.
Yeah.
I migrated to the U.S., so I no longer live in Dominica. I live in the United States. I live in New York, so I'm joining you guys from New York tonight.
Right.
I don't know if that's sufficient for now, or
that works for us. That works for us.
All
So,
right, good.
I guess I'll just go ahead and start from jump. Let's go way back to the beginning.
Wow.
Because you did say music is life, and I can relate. So I want to know when it started. When did the interest for music start, or when did you
Wow.
record it?
So, it started in the home from the time I was a young child.
Right.
There was always music in our house. If it was the record player, the cassette tape, we had tons of those. At least I should say, my father had tons of those cassette tapes with music, and we also had like little instruments around the house. There was something called a xylophone or a marimba. We had a marimba that I was messing with, and there was also something called a melodica. It's like a keyboard in which you blow into it. You hold it and you blow into it. So all of these were available to us as children, and we've been experimenting with music. Messing around with these little instruments.
Right.
And maybe that helped to nurture the love for music. And also my father was a musician, a choir leader, I should say. He was a choir leader, so he led the Catholic Church choir at the time. We lived in Salisbury in Dominica, and also the school choirs. So he was heavily involved in school choirs and church choirs, So I kind of followed his steps a little bit also.
Right. Oh, so you were breathing music.
Yes.
Well, yes, yes. You know.
Joe?
Yeah, no, I well, you mentioned that there were instruments around the home. I kind of when I'm doing my research about you, I found out that you taught yourself how to play the guitar at the age of 12. Is that a fact?
That is a fact. So, well, as a younger child, guitar was not in my home, but we when we moved to a different location for residence, I was able to lay my hands on a guitar that belonged to my uncle, and
Right.
I started, he showed me three chords, which is the first chords everyone knows. I guess it's C, F, and G7. So,
Okay.
and then I went on to teach myself the rest. Back then there was no YouTube, there was no YouTube University. You couldn't go
Yeah.
online, teach
Yeah.
yourself.
Right.
So what I did was around that time I was kind of in high school, and there were lots of guitars around the school. After back then high school was 8 a.m. to 1 p.m. So from 1 p.m. onwards, kids used to hang out here. We used to play music. They used to play, hang out and do different things.
Right.
And there were
Mhm.
lots of guitars, so
Okay.
I would watch, and then I would go home and I would practice. I would watch, I would go home and I would practice, and eventually my skill grew,
Right.
as a accompanist, so to speak, guitarist. Yeah.
All right. That's very intriguing, actually, because
Exactly.
without the assistance of, the technology that we have, the YouTube and all that. But yeah,
Oh,
do you still?
it's way much easier now if someone wants to learn, So
Right.
All right. I
Yeah,
feel like we're going to learn a lot tonight about the wizards. So,
Right.
sure. Go ahead.
So, but what type of music were you influenced by though? Like when you playing the guitar, was it like calypso, reggae, or what type of music was
so yeah, so it was more initially it was the popular music of the day. It was a lot of reggae and a lot of calypso.
it? Right.
Back then. So this is what we would play, and also pop music that was heard on the radio. The guys would, there would be like what they call jam sessions.
Right. Okay.
Everyone would just play whatever was popular at the time.
Right.
So all of these were kind of influences.
Hmm. And I learned about the fact that you were also called the Dominica Neil Diamond. Is that a fact as well?
Yes, actually, so that was a little late. So if a lot of things happened, after I had learned, I was kind of proficient in the guitar,
Yeah.
I didn't own a guitar yet. So
Mhm.
there was we lived in the community of Canefield, and there was the parish priest of Canefield. he approached me and said, "Hey, listen, man, we need a church choir in Canefield. I could get you a guitar, and then, but you have to promise that you would play for the church masses on Sundays, And I'm
Yeah.
like, sure, Father. That was the late Father Jolly. Some people may know him. Hope he continues to rest in peace.
Right.
So yes, so I got the guitar, and we formed a youth choir in Canefield, and we would practice and we would play at our Sunday masses.
Mhm.
We would do festivals, choir festivals around the country. At the time, there was a lot of those things going on.
Mhm.
We would also take part in contests, competitions. So, and then so that happened, and I started also playing accompaniment guitar for a folk group called the Dominica Folk Singers.
Mhm.
So I did this for a while, and I sorry, I forgot the question that you had asked about. Sorry.
I found out that you were
Oh yes,
called
right.
the Dominican
Okay.
Neil Diamond. Yeah.
Okay, so then I remember it was around 1978 or thereabout when we were Dominica was becoming an independent nation. There was a show organized by a group. It was called a variety show, So a lot of the local artists were gathered, and they would perform. There was an accompanying band who would rehearse with the artists, and then there was that big show in the Winter Park, and I was part of this. I was asked to perform at that show. That was my first, other than church, that was my first public performance as an artist. Okay, that show in 1978 in the Windsor Park, and I sang two of the Neil Diamond songs. I was a big fan. I had his cassette tapes, and I sang. There was one song from a movie called The Jazz Singer, and he sings "They Come into America." So I changed it around to "They Come into Dominica." It was, I mean, it was like a pretty big hit. It went pretty well. It went up well. And the response was really positive. So after that, other promoters and organizers started reaching out to me, to do performances at the variety shows, because back then, variety shows were the thing, I mean, times have changed. That was more than 30 years ago, so times have changed. But so the promoters would approach me, and they wanted me to sing those Neil Diamond songs, and, I mean, I made a little name for myself, They wanted me. They interviewed me on the radio, and referred to me as Dominica's Neil Diamond. Okay.
So this is where it all started, then, like
yes,
from
you could
performing
say that,
and being in the choir. Okay, you get a better idea of where you started. Yeah.
So when did Calypso come in then? Is that the path onto Calypso, or was there like
well, yeah, so to speak, that was the prelude to Calypso, but things happened in between. So after finishing high school, I continued being the choir leader. I started working as an elementary school teacher. I taught at Goodwill Junior High School. And I worked with Stephen Hyacinth. You probably know Stephen Hyacinth. We had a drama group, and we would do plays, and I would be the one to do the compositions for the plays. Little music to start, music to end, music in between. I would do the compositions for the plays. And let's see, what else? Yeah, so I would do the music for the plays, and. After a few years, I was transferred to the St. Martin's School. Okay, so the Martin School is an all-girls school.
Right.
And back then, myself and another Calypsonian, you guys must know Alfred Menz, which is he's referred to as Man himself, the man himself.
Right.
Yeah. He has passed away, so may his soul rest in peace. But he and I were the two male teachers at the all-girls elementary school, so to speak. Okay. So, and he was involved in Calypso music, and he would sometimes perform his songs to the, for the assembly at morning's assembly.
Okay.
And I would approach him, I would say, I want to do this, man. I want to do this, So and then right about that time, I started. I said, yes, there's a carnival coming up, so let me register as a Calypsonian to take part in the competition. That was in 1988.
Okay.
And so I registered, and then I approached him, and I told him, well, I've been working on this song here. I want you to listen to it, to take a look at it. And that was the song from the clip that you first showed. Those were the days.
Right.
So I had like about a couple verses and a chorus going, and I had him listen to it and critique it, and he was able to add a lot more information. A lot more. He added another verse and a lot more. We fine-tuned the song, so to speak, and we also did some research on the song, because it's really a song about carnival from way back when in Dominica. So we did some research, and we got some information, and we incorporated it into the song.
Right. And, nice.
So I registered, and we got the song going, when we were happy with it, I what did I do? I think we started working on a second song. Okay.
Okay.
Mm.
So then the competition in 1988, I think I don't recall there being an elimination process, but
Okay.
what was that?
No, I said okay. There was no
Right.
elimination process.
Yeah, back
Quite
then,
different from today.
back
Yeah.
then, at least for
Yeah.
this particular year, 1988.
Right.
So the first time I performed as a Calypsonian was at a quarterfinal show, and that was held in the village of St. Joseph.
Okay.
And I performed the song "Those Were the Days." Those were the
Right.
days,
Those were the
brothers.
days.
Those were the days. And you know, it went down well. You know, it went down
Right.
well. People were very happy with the performance. I was happy with my performance.
Right.
I made the cut, so I was down to perform at the semifinal show,
Right.
which was held at the I think back then it was the Windsor Park, where the hard cuts were. I don't know if you guys remember. There used to be basketball courts.
Basketball and
yes,
soccer.
right
Yeah.
in the northwest corner of the park, right? So
Mhm.
Yeah, you're
that's when the show was
educating
held.
me because I'm not a
Oh
Dominican.
yeah. Sorry.
You're educating some of the viewers as well.
Okay.
Before you continue,
Yeah.
how did you come up with that name, The Wizard?
Well, it's because of my first name. You know, my first name Merlin. So
Okay.
Merlin in mythological history was a wizard,
Okay.
a magician, right? So I
Interesting.
I decided to use the name the Wizard,
The Wizard.
All right.
Merlin the Wizard. Yes, yeah.
Merlin the Wizard. Okay.
Yes. So coming back to the story, at the quarterfinal show, I remember, you know, I had already gotten a costume made to perform in. You know, that's the same one that you saw me performing in, and I was on stage and I was singing. Those Were the Days, and I remember seeing the faces of some people, like you know, my friends, some of the others who didn't know I sang. I was singing, and there was a kind of like amazement or shock or whatever on their faces. They're like,
Yeah.
and basically they were like, "Isn't he the one who sings in the church? And he's singing calypso now?" That was the reaction. You know, that was the reaction. You know, so but things have changed. I mean, I'm sure there are a lot of you know, church people who sing calypso now, right? So yeah, so I at the quarterfinal I performed and I did well. I according to the judges sheet, I got the most points on that night. So I made it to the final show. And then we composed the second song because you know the calypso competition in Dominica is 2 rounds. So we composed the second song for the contest. That second song was called "A Song of Love." Some of you may know it. It was also covered by the Cicero Singers, you know, the folk group from Dominica. So, yeah. So, So when I prepared for the final night, I got a small team of people. You know, I got some costumes made, some props, and all of that stuff, and was ready for the show. And on the night, I think 1988, that year was a reunion here in Dominica. So that was the first time they had this reunion where the government was encouraging, you know, nationals who live abroad to come down to the, you know, to, and so there were lots of visitors, you know, and that on that show that night, I performed my 2 songs along with the other artists, you know, and in my first year as a calypso contestant or competitor, I placed second. Second.
Okay.
You know? To be honest with you, I thought I should be number 1, but you know the judges thought differently.
But you know, I must say, I remember that reunion year. I was probably 9 or 10 years old.
Mm-hmm.
I remember those were the days. And I remember the year after that too. But the impact your voice had on the music, it's not too many calypso artists in your time had that impact, right?
Right. You may have a point there.
Yeah, And some of them that had the impact was more on the jumpy side too, as well, right? So, but you did come with an impact. I remember that year, 88 and 89,
Yes,
because
yes. I really think I did. You know, I really think I did because after that contest, right after the contest, I was very pleased with my performance and what we had achieved in that first year. You know,
Mhm.
right.
so I remember, just to touch on your point here, I remember getting a phone call from a businessman in Roseau, right? A
Hmm.
businessman in Roseau, and he called me into his office and he said, "Hey Merlin, I want to see you for a little bit. I want to talk about your music."
Right.
And he said, "You know, man, your calypsos are a breath of fresh air. Okay, do you have a recording?" And I said, "Well, thank you, but no, I don't have a recording." And he said,
Right.
"Okay, here's the deal. I'm going to write you a check. I'm going to write you a check for $3,000. Okay, get all the musicians you want, get all the resources you need, do a
Right.
recording,
Mhm.
and then sell all your it was cassette tapes back then, not even CDs yet. Okay,
Yeah.
sell all your tapes and give me back my $3,000, and everything else you make is yours." So I took the check, you know, and
Right.
I was like, okay, well, that's, you know, it's encouraging to hear that from someone, you know.
Yeah.
So I took the check, and I was looking for musicians. Back then, there were only two recording studios in Dominica at the time. Okay, one
Mhm.
was Ken Robinson Nature Island recording studio in Goodwill, and the other one was Markov
Right.
Studios, owned by Mark Murray in Point Michelle. So I decided to record with so I said, well, listen, man, I have to do something for next year, you know. Since
Mhm.
I made an impact in 1988, I should you know, continue along and continue with the momentum, you know.
Right.
So I recorded. I got. I started putting together the resources. So at the time, you know, there was the bassman for WCK. He was. I had just taught him in my class at Goodwill School, so I
Yeah.
got him, and I got Cornell Phillip of WCK.
Right.
WCK was just formed, you know, and I used to pick them up, take them to the studio. Right.
Right.
Mark Murray was the engineer at the time. There was no. I think he had just gotten uh, um, what they call a digital audio workstation called Atari. He had an Atari computer. And he had an
Oh,
Atari
okay.
computer. They don't.
Okay.
I mean, that doesn't exist anymore. And he had
Mhm.
this. So we used this. We used this to record the songs. You know, Cornell and Keith. They contributed the bass and the keyboard parts. You know, all the
Right.
keyboard parts and the drum programming. And while we were doing this, you know, the other guys would come to the studio to check out the recording sessions. You know, so I remember guys like Archie, who was the bass man for First Serenade, who has passed on.
Mhm.
So may he rest in peace.
Right.
Also, he was one of those who would hang out. Also, there was uh, Spiky, I think Spiky Geist, Leroy Geist, who was also in the studio. So all these people, Spiky, Cornell, Cornell and Keith did the majority of the work.
Okay.
And Archie also based on a few songs, you know. And so we
Right.
put everything together. I played guitar on the songs. And so you see the guitar work did come in useful,
Came
right?
in
Right.
handy. Came in
Right.
useful.
Give me
Yes, yes.
that.
I was wondering about that.
And so yeah, we and I the goal was to produce a cassette tape of a compilation of songs, and I think there were like 5 songs on the cassette.
Right.
There was Those Were the Days. There was a song, another song I composed called Dance with Me. There was a song called Feed My Brother. We'll come to that later. Feed My Brother was written by Jay Grimner and myself.
Mhm.
And there was the Young and Restless song was
Right.
composed and written by myself and Stephen Hyacinth. Okay, so there was that compilation. So I got the master tape from Mark Marie, and I took it to the only place I could go to get the tapes. How do you say replicated?
Right.
Those were replicated by Ken Robinson
Mhm.
in his equipment. And so I got the cassettes, and I started selling cassettes. and I started selling cassettes.
So
I
you
brought
promoted
cassettes to
yourself. You marketed yourself.
well,
You promoted
yeah,
yourself.
but I had lots of help. You know,
Okay.
one of the main areas was there was a record shop at the bridge, what we used to call the new bridge, called Darrow's Record Shop. So
Right.
I would drop them off there, and these things were like going like hotcake. You know, I brought to the radio stations, so they were playing on the radio stations. Everybody heard the songs. You know, the song "Young and Restless." Okay, I have to tell you guys about this.
Yes.
This was in 1989. Okay,
Right.
I don't. Maybe you guys know of a soap opera called The Young and Restless.
Yes.
All right.
Right.
So back then in the 1989s, that consumed a lot of people, a lot
Right.
of Dominicans. I mean, they could not miss an episode of Young and Restless.
Yeah.
So
Right.
people would leave work, run home to get lunch, and sit and watch the episode. You know,
My
and
mother.
it was shown on Marpin TV at the time. You know?
Yes.
Right.
So there was a lot of brouhaha around the Young and Restless, and it was a
Yeah.
scandalous show. You know how these soap operas go. You know, so
Mhm.
we capitalized on the phrase, the Young and Restless. You know, and we used this chorus we used this phrase to make a chorus, and myself and Stephen Hyson we put together that song, and it was part of the compilation that I was working on, recording at Mark Murray's studio. So, within 3 weeks or so, I was able to sell, enough not CDs, sorry, cassette tapes
Cassettes. Right.
to write the businessman a check, give him
Mhm.
back his money,
Bring back his money.
and then I continued selling. So, I continued making a little bit of money for my efforts, and that was the cassette tape was called "Dance with Me." There was a black and white picture of me, not even
Right.
smiling. Back then I should have smiled.
Yeah.
Right, and yeah, so we did this, and then one other thing I want to add about the song "The Young and the Restless." I had a friend who worked at Marpin, Marpin TV.
Right.
So he took footage. He invited me to the studio. He took footage of me in the studio, plus me performing, and then he produced a music video for the song "Young and Restless" that was played. It was aired on Marpin TV for a long time, a lot of times. Okay,
Mhm.
I want to say that I think this song may have been the first studio edited. This video may have been the first studio edited video in Dominica for a calypso. Okay, I mean somebody
Right.
can correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe that to be the case.
For
Okay.
Calypso.
So yeah.
Not to cut you off, but before you continue, I want us to actually show a clip of the Young and the Restless video for
Okay.
people who haven't seen it, and for the people who don't remember it or haven't seen it in a very long time. So let's
Yes.
take a quick
Also,
minute.
remind them back then there was nothing called HD TV. Okay, there was no high.
Yeah. That's right. That's right.
Yes.
Okay.
We might have a little static, but let's get to the clip.
All right.
Since she must have run, got on the run, nothing is standing in she way. What's she looking for? Since she left the door, is a man to help she play. Long time now she waiting for the chance, tired stay with no chance to dance. Now the time has come and she's moving on. Jump inside a hot and spicy bed, prancing up and down until she wet, shouting all out and she having fun. Yeah, she ready when life is mine. Don't test me, I'm feeling fine. I can't keep me body still. Sweet music, I want to feel. Oh Lord, I cannot believe my ears. It's so classy, sounding so sweet. I can't believe what I'm missing all these years. So ain't no stopping me now. She wants to meet a friend, we call him never spend. Tell him she don't have no money. Want to drink a beer and have an affair. She even calling him honey. Everybody in against the wall, watching over them having a ball. While she's been made partner all round the place. Panting for her, he can't take no more. Vex again, she dash him on the floor. And if now she really wanted, she quits. Yes, she did. Where the way tonight is mine. Don't test me, I'm feeling fine.
Wow.
That is some memory right there.
That's bringing back memories, man.
Man,
Memories.
yes, sir.
Those
Man,
those young ladies there. Those are the cheerleaders. These were the cheerleaders of the St. Martin's School where I
right,
taught. Okay, but I
right.
did get the permission of their parents. Okay, to
Okay, okay.
Nice, nice. I did hear. I did kind of hear you say previous in an interview many years ago that you would like your music to be timeless, and this song to me is one of those. Sounds like very timeless and could be very relevant today. And you know, I would like to hear a remake of this song. Like this is a
Wow.
song that I would jam to in a
Young
party
versus
for sure.
young.
It's more towards the soca than calypso sounds to me.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, so funny that you mentioned that. One of the criticisms that I received when I first sang this song in 1989. You know, the folks. I guess. By the way, I have to let you guys know. 1989, when I performed and I competed the second time for my second year, I won the crown, and this
Right.
song was one of the songs that I sang.
Yes.
But one of the criticisms that I received was everyone. Some people were saying, "Boy, that not calypso. That is soca you sing in there. Soca you sing in there." You know, but you know, I mean, listen, man. Music is you know, music evolves every day. You know, music evolves every day. You know, very few songs you can kind of bucket into a specific genre. I mean, artists
Right.
these days they're looking to see how they can you know, fuse different genres of music. They're
Yes.
experimenting with different rhythms and all of that stuff, and that's a good thing for music.
Yeah.
You know, it's a good thing for music. I mean, if you listen to the calypsos that are being sung in Dominica today, I mean, some of them you have elements of bouillon, you have elements of you know,
Soca, jab,
soca.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so and for me, that's okay. I think it's a good thing for music.
Of
Music
course.
should
Of
not be
course.
static. You know, music should
It should
evolve.
evolve. Of
People,
course.
yeah, people
Yeah.
should
Just
continue,
like everything
you know,
else.
experimenting with music. It should never
Mhm.
remain static. Otherwise, it'll be boring. You know?
Yes, I think you know you had some forward thinking way back then because calypso today sounds like that.
Like that, yes.
Well, you know, I mean, I don't like to toot my own horn, but I always
Toot toot,
say,
I'm tooting it for you.
I say to myself, I think I was a little bit ahead of my time back then.
Yes,
You know, I
yes,
really do think so. You know,
yes.
so
I think you just prove it in conversation because and with that song really too because you came in 88
hmm
and you made it all the way to the finals enough
yeah,
to make noise and put and scare people and to come back the following year and just knock everybody off. By the way, that in okay 88 was a reunion and there was a lot of songs you had to compete with. There's
yes,
reunion songs and you were still getting a lot of airplay. But I remember 89, if I'm not mistaken, that song was on the radio like every second of the day.
yes.
And
I
the
Go ahead.
and the music video,
I think
there
that
was no
helped it.
there you go. So she's right when she
So
says
forward,
that
so forward.
you were way ahead of your time.
And they couldn't catch up with you. They couldn't keep
No.
up with you, and this is what it was. So you know,
It's
I
not even
think some people might have some regrets.
Well, you know, I guess I was blessed with the gifts, and I try to, you know, when you're blessed with gifts, you can't keep them for yourself. You know, you
Yeah,
have
You
to
gotta
share
share.
them and
Facts.
yeah,
make, you know, make other people happy. I've always felt that, you know, even in when you write calypsos and you sing calypso, it's supposed to be songs that make people feel good. You know, I mean,
Right.
well,
Right.
that's always been my goal. You know, songs that are uplifting, songs that make people feel good, you
Yeah.
know, songs that are not just happy songs, but you know, songs that give you a positive vibe, you know.
Right.
Yeah.
Even if you're doing a social commentary, you know, it can be done in a positive way. You know,
Right.
you don't have to be tearing down anybody by doing a social
Right.
commentary. But that's just me, you know. There are
Right.
other people think differently about this, but this is the
Of
way
course.
I've always thought about it.
So we have some viewers on Facebook, on YouTube, and on different platforms, TDN TV. And we also want to let them know that they're included in this broadcast tonight. So
Oh,
we're
that's
going to
nice.
take some of their questions. Navi, what do you think at this time? We
Yeah,
can
we
take
could
some
do
of their
that.
questions.
And you guys
Okay.
could also submit some of your questions to the WhatsApp number that's moving on this right now. I don't know it off my head, so just
Yeah. So there's
yeah, we can take some.
questions. There's questions and comments.
Okay.
And Jerry Nelson here says, "Bless up, sir." If you can bring that back, bless up, sir. I remember you at the Goodwill School.
Yeah.
Your dad was the headmaster. Question: Yes, is this true?
Yes, he was. Yes, he
Okay.
was. Yes. So my father was the principal of Goodwill School, you know. And yeah, you know, Goodwill School was a pretty good experience. It was my first job, basically.
Right.
I wasn't a trained teacher, but you know, within a couple of years, I ended up at the teacher training college, you know, in a program that
Right.
gave me the qualifications, you know, to teach, um, you know, as a qualified teacher, you know,
Hmm.
in Dominica and in other Caribbean islands, you know. So
Right.
that was a good thing. And you know, back when we were at Goodwill School, there were a group of us teachers. Myself, there was another teacher called Darius Moses, and there was another teacher called Stephen Hyacinth, which I mentioned before. So
Right.
we our goal was to you know, make the young people enjoy coming to school. You know, enjoy coming to school. So
Right.
we got them involved in so drama. Steve, you know, Steve is a dramatist with the New Dimension Theater.
Right.
He has the New Dimension Theater, and we wanted them. We got them involved in drama. We got them involved with music. I was in charge of the school choir.
Hmm.
So I remember one year. I'm not sure if it's '86 or '87. We won the Goodwill School won a school's singing competition under my directorship, of course.
Right.
That was I don't remember if it was an island-wide contest or whether it was a regional contest, meaning schools in just the Southwest or whatever. I don't recall.
Right.
But we got them involved. We created you know, like houses in the school. You know, we had athletic competitions,
Hmm.
football competitions, all kinds of activities until like we raised the how do you the
The bar. Okay.
attendance percentage.
Hmm.
These kids wanted to come to school. They
Mhm.
wanted
Nice.
to come to school, and that was our goal, you know, because school was interesting to them, you know. School wasn't boring, you
Right.
know, so it was interesting to them, you know. So we tried our best to make an impact on the lives of the young people back then, you know. And still today I
Right.
get comments from adults who were my students back in the days, you know, and they would tell me you know, the wonderful time they had as students at the Goodwill School to start. You know, at Goodwill School, you
Yeah.
know, even involved in drama or involved in music or involved in sports and stuff like that, and athletics.
Okay.
But Merlin,
Thank you for
it
that.
sounds like you know the structure from your dad, you know, with music and being a headmaster in the school, you pass that on to your students. That's
Well,
what
you
I'm
know,
getting at.
I mean, my father was like a role model to me, you know, man, and I
Right.
saw the way he operated, you know, and it was working for him, so I was kind of emulating him, you know. I didn't get to be
Mhm.
a school principal in Dominica, but you know, I mean,
Right.
this is what he did, right? When he was the
Right.
principal at Salisbury School, he was in charge of the school choir, right? He was in charge of
Mhm.
the school choir, and back then, I'm telling you guys, back then in 1972 and then 1973, before you guys were probably born,
Right.
there were serious island-wide school choir competitions, you know, and I mean there
Mhm.
were serious rivalry, you know, and
Right.
so they were the island was divided into you know, regions or sections, and then there were preliminaries in the various regions, and you know, you picked the whoever was out came out as the winner from this first section into, and you had this huge final contest, and I remember my father, our school, the Salisbury School back in the day, winning that contest once out of all the school choirs in the island,
Right.
so he had his skills, and I tried to emulate him as best as I could.
Nice. Good, Jill. Sorry.
No, I was gonna ask, well, you speak so highly of your father, and when you talked about the fact that he was part of the choir, how did he, like, how did your family feel when you went into to sing calypso? Were they supportive of you? Like, I know I'm seeing some comments come up. It looks like family members, and they're backing you and they're wanting to see some more. So how did your family back then
So,
support you?
well, it took some convincing at the beginning. It really did. It took some convincing, but at the end, my parents were my biggest fans, man.
Nice.
My mom used to be at the shows. I remember her being in the crowd at the St. Joseph quarterfinal show. We when I won the Calypso crown in 1989, my father was one of my biggest fans,
Nice.
and
Nice.
even my church where I went to, the Canfield Catholic Church, the priest even prayed for me, he prayed with me and he prayed for me that I would win.
That's support,
you
man.
know
Yes.
so I had the support of the community, the
Right.
whole Canfield community, and
Yes.
my parents, a little skeptical at first, but they got on board with it,
Right.
so.
Good to hear. Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
So then, with all this, the school, like this kids wanting to be around you, you've been successful in the music industry. You left and you moved to the United States. What
Yes.
what
So
what brought that change?
so yes, so I competed the first in 1988,
Mhm.
and then I competed in 1989, and I won in 1989.
Right.
And in August of 1989, I moved to the United States. So the goal was to pursue higher education degree.
Nice.
What probably influenced me was I have three siblings who are away. I had all
Mhm.
three of them in the United States, pursuing their studies prior to me living. So I was the only one at home at some point with mom and dad.
Okay.
So the little, I didn't want to be left out, so to speak. I didn't want to be left out, and I
Yeah.
really wanted to. I mean, I had been back then when I left. I think I had been teaching for about 9 years. I'd been teaching for 9 years. I was a qualified teacher.
Right.
I was teaching for about 9 years, and I felt it was probably about the right time to make a career change.
Mhm.
Maybe it was untimely, but things happen for a reason. So
That's right.
yeah,
Well, it's not really
so
untimely if it works for you, right?
exactly, right.
Yeah.
So I in August of 1989, I came to the United States, to New York. I enrolled in college to study. Actually, I study music and accounting. So
Okay.
I that was my plan, and it was going well for 2 years. I was doing my accounting studies and my music studies. In music, I was learning composition. I was learning sight singing, piano and arrangements and stuff like that. But for the it's a 4-year degree, so for the third and fourth year, it started really getting hard, especially in the accounting. So I had to pick one. I picked one. I guess I picked one, and I picked the accounting.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was looking ahead, and I'm like,
Yes.
I need to make those money, the money.
That's right.
So I picked accounting, and I continued with my accounting degrees, and I did not complete a music degree. Yeah.
Yeah. But when you moved to the States, you continued to sing, and I know that you won your second Calypso crown while living in New York. And how
Yes.
difficult was that to defend your crown while living in New York?
Well, there were some challenges, but yeah, being the defending monarch, I had to, well, go back down to defend that title in
Mhm.
Right.
1990. So I teamed up with my writers. I think it was yeah, Steve Hyacinth and myself. We worked on and Jay Grimner and myself. Yeah, Jay
Mhm.
Grimner. So we worked on that year. I sang two songs. One was Provocation. Uh, it's a song about looking back on it now. It was a song telling the ladies, don't provoke the men the way
Right.
you were. I mean, I don't share this. I don't share this view right now.
Yeah.
At
Right.
this point in my
Yeah.
life. But back then,
Yeah.
that I did the song, and then the other
Younger,
one was
wiser, crazier.
yeah, and then the second song was called what was it? Yes, there's hope. So while I was here, I got the songs. I got the transcripts for the music and all of that stuff, and I sent it down to the band. There was no. I think I emailed it. Yes, I think I did email it.
Mhm.
And then they rehearsed. The band rehearsed. That was in the middle of the semester, right? Because
Wow.
Carnival is in February, right? So
Mhm.
Right.
so I left. I when I left New York, I took my books with me and some assignments.
Right.
You know, and I came down and I rehearsed with the band. I got a team together to put together some the props and everything for the performance on the night. And
Mm.
Mhm.
I performed that night. I performed my songs that night, and I won again. I won again, and this this time the reaction of the crowd was a little different. There was a large section of the crowd that they weren't happy with the results.
Right.
There were a bunch of people who, I mean, there was a large section who were happy with the results, but there were
Yes.
others who thought that who were the I think it was I'm not sure. I think it might have been Scrunter or a
Scranton.
Hurricane who came second. I don't recall.
Right.
Mhm.
But there was all this brouhaha. Wizard
Mm.
just he's not even living in New York. He's not even living in Dominica. He's living in
And
New
he's right.
York. He just coming down and he taking the money and he going back.
Right.
I felt that sentiment. And that was
Right.
actually
Right.
said. So I mean, I hope people don't think like that anymore.
Yeah.
But
Well, again, forward thinking. A lot of artists live abroad, and they have
yeah,
to make careers. They have to make
exactly,
a living.
exactly,
So
Yep.
exactly.
it's not something that's all year round. It's seasonal. So,
Right.
again, forward thinking. You lived abroad and you made music and you came back and performed. So,
Right, exactly. So and I won again, and I'm not sure whether that had been done before. I mean,
Right.
yeah.
maybe I'm not sure. Somebody can correct me, but I'm not sure whether that had been done before.
Of course.
So I got back to New York, and I'm like, wow, okay, it's great. I've won twice, so I have to do it again next year, 1991. So I got ready. I got ready
Okay.
for the contest again in 1991, but
Mhm.
but the whole environment had changed. There was a new
Right.
Calypso Association, a new president. A lot of things had changed. Not even that
Right.
was the only year I think Swinging Stars did not back up the Calypsonians. You guys
Mhm.
probably
Right.
know, right?
Okay.
Swinging Stars is the
Right.
band to back up Calypsonians. So
Staple.
that year,
Staple.
1991, there was a different band.
Right.
Different band. And listen, man, I rehearsed, man, and there was even a little hostility towards me when I was rehearsing. Okay, this is not made up. Okay, this is not made up. All
Right.
right, there was a little hostility towards me because I don't know if the vibes was like, all right, Wizard did this once, he can't do it again, or something like that.
Mm.
But anyway, I performed. I mean, I could feel the vibes. The odds were kind of stacking against me. So I performed, and that year in 1991, I did not place. So a couple judges came to me and said, "Listen, man, I had you number 3." Another one said, "I had you number 4." But two of these
Right.
guys had you number 9 out of 9. So I'm like, yeah, it is what it is.
At least
TikTok,
at least they allowed you to perform again after
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
in '89.
Yeah, exactly.
Because
Yeah, yeah.
But
you
it
know
was,
how we do in Dominica. You take two krong and run. No, 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 no. Yeah.
yeah, I mean,
Now,
so
do you want to take some questions from the viewers again?
absolutely,
Some more questions, Wizard, from the audience.
sure.
We want
What
to
we
oblige. So if we can have some on the
got? What we got?
screen, let's see.
Okay, are you going to read the questions, or I'll be seeing them as
Yeah,
they come in?
Well,
I'm
we're
waiting
waiting
for
for
the
it to come on the
question.
screen, but anyway, okay, I guess here comes one.
Oh, if you have a chance to compete again in Dominica, would you?
So check this out. I after 1991, I did not perform in the contest, in the Calypso competition in Dominica for a long time, and then
Right.
in 2017, I decided to do that. So the Calypso Association was kind enough to give me a what they call a bye, in which I didn't have to compete in the elimination. So I went straight into the quarterfinal in 2017, and I had my songs ready. I had a couple songs. One was "We Love in DA." That's on my YouTube page. You can see that. And so I performed at the quarterfinal show, and I made it through to the semifinal. And I performed at the semifinal show, but I did not make it to the quarterfinal. Sorry, to the final show. That was in 2017. That was the last time. And then I said to myself, okay, it was a good run. Been there, done that. I think there are lots of other good calypso artists coming out of Dominica right now.
Okay.
Yeah, they should continue. Continue with this. But nah, I'm a little too old for that now.
But for all your calypso career is, I guess, you probably have it hanging. I wouldn't want to say over, so you probably have it hanging in the closet somewhere. You did work on an album, so we haven't got.
Yes, actually, yes. There are a couple of things I should mention. So this is one of the crowns
One
I
of the
won.
crowns. Is that the first or second?
Yep, I have it displayed in my recording studio.
Nice. Is that the first? Is
displayed
that
in
the
my
first
recording
crown?
studio.
Is
So
that
when
crown number one? Or crown number
No,
two?
that's number two. Number two.
Okay. All right.
Right.
Nice.
So yeah, when I came to New York, I wanted to do a compilation of some of the songs that I composed, and I worked with a producer from one of the guys. He's from Nevis, a producer from Nevis.
Okay.
Yeah, and he and I put together a CD, a compilation of my songs on CD. I think there were 12 songs. That was the first one. That was 1996, I believe, or 1997. I don't remember. But I did this, and back then, CDs were still a hot item. There was no MP3s as yet,
Right.
So,
Right.
so I sold a bunch of those. I did some performances. Back then, there was an annual Calypso show in New York, and I used to perform that. I think that was produced by E Dominica Productions, Anne-Marie Clark, I believe. Yeah,
That's
So-
a King of Kings thing you're talking
right.
about?
They used to call it the King of Kings. Right. So I performed that a few times, and there was also a competition in New York, held in New York in 1996. So there were quite a few Calypsonians, Dominican Calypsonians living in New York and the environs. So a group had organized a Calypso competition. There was myself, there was Tokyo, may he rest in peace. There was I think Tronada, there was Rabbit, and a few others. I'm not sure if the Ventura former Calypso King also was part of this, but yeah. But we performed. We did the show in Brooklyn. It was billed as the Dominica / New York Calypso competition, and I won that. That year in
Nice.
1996. So
Right.
yeah.
And those are some top names you call, because Rabbit has a powerful name, with his music back home, even Trinidad.
Yeah, man. Rabbit is one of our top Calypsonians. Rabbit has a string of hits. Anytime the carnival comes along, you will you will hear Rabbit's songs being played or sung. You know, never hang your hat where your hand carries it, right?
Yeah.
That's one of those, you know. So
Yeah.
I
Yep.
just saw another question come across. Have you stayed in contact with your collaborators from your first album? This is from Debbie Davidson.
Oh, yes, I have actually. I have stayed in touch with not all of them though. I have stayed in touch with Steve. You know, Steve in Dominica. I haven't been in touch with Jay Grimner in a while. But yeah, I've been in touch with Steve, and even while I was in New York, Steve and I have collaborated on other songs, right, and other projects.
Right.
So even if I haven't been competing, but I have written songs for some of the other competitors in Dominica. I have composed,
Okay.
co-written, I
Okay.
should say, and
Right.
composed songs for some of the other competitors.
Okay.
I don't know if you guys remember the first time Young Bull made the final show. You know, Young Bull back in the days.
Yeah.
He sang a song, keep your head above water," basically, and that was one of the songs that I composed for
Right.
him. The lyrics were written by someone else, but I was the one who composed and arranged the music for this song, and he made it to the final of that show.
Okay.
I've co-written and composed music for other Calypsonians, The Observer, Leandra, who has passed away. May she rest in peace. You know.
Right.
For Daddy Chess, he sang one of my songs recent, some time back.
Right.
For another Calypsonian called the Senator. And also, we've dabbled in the Junior Calypso Monarchs. Steve and I have composed and written for a couple of the Junior Monarch
Right.
contestants. You know, so I've stayed busy, but lately I haven't been too involved
Right.
in the Calypso. I have to get back into it actually.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you didn't abandon music. You still
Oh, no,
did
not at
teaching
all.
and leading. That's good. That's good.
Well, he did say it was live at the beginning of the interview.
Yes.
So
Yes. You did. Yes,
Music
you
is
did.
live. Music is live. Big up, Debbie.
Right.
Thanks for your question.
Nice.
Yeah.
So Wizard, what's next? I mean, well, now we know you have to get back to writing. I mean,
Wait, how do we know that? How do we know that? Well, yeah. So, you know, now and then people still contact me asking me to write songs for them. You know, but
Right.
you know, life. I mean, that's I still devote time to it. Maybe not as much as I should. You know.
Right.
Maybe not as much as I should, but I do have plans to write and compose for the Calypso contest in 2024, not 2023. It's
Right.
kind of too soon, you know, it's wrong to ban. But for
Right.
2024, I have plans to write and compose for a couple of the competitors in Dominica, for the Calypso artists in Dominica. Yeah.
Right.
have they approached you already, or is this something that's in the work, like you think? About?
So I've been approached by one, yes, you know,
Okay,
and
okay.
I'm working. Well, you know, there's still time. There's still time.
Okay.
To
Okay.
work on that. Yeah.
So this is definitely happening.
Well, fingers crossed. Yes.
All right, so we have one more video clip we want to show before the show ends, and I believe this is a clip of you performing somewhere in the United States. I believe
Okay.
it's
Yes,
I mean-
yes, I think so. I think you mentioned it earlier on. I think it may have been a clip of me in Bridgeport, Connecticut.
right.
Yeah, there was an event, a Dominican event, celebrating
Mhm.
Dominica. I performed.
Okay.
All right, so let's get into the clip quickly.
Elizabeth, she came. Sweet romance she came. She hunted me both day and night, like somebody gives she light. It's a blasted shame, I don't know who to blame, but Elizabeth is she came.
Wow, yeah, that brought back memories, man. That's a medley of old time Dominican calypsos I was performing then, you know. So these aren't my songs, but I was covering those
Also, okay.
traditional songs from Dominica.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Nice. All right.
You know,
So,
this interview could go on all night. We have so many questions to ask you, Wizard,
Ask away.
yeah.
but we have to be mindful of the time as well,
Oh,
right? Um,
are we
however,
out of time?
however, however, I do want to see if there's any more questions from the viewers because we want to oblige and make sure that their questions are answered. If we have any other questions from the viewers, because you are a legend. I see somebody said, um, your fans always ask you to sing Young and the Restless. Would you consider a remaking?
Wow, I hadn't thought about it until now, so maybe I should. It's probably my most popular song. Every time I get on stage, somebody wants me to sing that song. Somebody wants me to sing that song.
Yeah.
So maybe it's right for a remake. Who knows?
Yeah.
I'll look into it.
I definitely gotta say it's one of my favorite songs, and
Mhm.
it probably was my favorite song in 1989. Like I know the
Wow.
song like I wrote it, right? I was excited when I see the video, and I could understand why somebody would want a remix of it because Young and the Restless is still on TV, so
It is.
the
Oh, wow.
song is still relevant.
Mhm.
It's still relevant, so it could still work, right?
Well, that's
So
good. Yes. So, yep, a remake could be in the works.
right.
Yes. Well, you know what? Our time has come to an end with the show. And we really, really, really want to say thank you so much, Wizard, for coming on and um, blessing us with your presence on the show. We will definitely be reposting this show onto our social medias, and we will be showing some more clips of your work. And hopefully, we see some new content from you very soon.
Yes.
But
Okay.
thank you
I'm
so
working
much
on
for
some
being
new
here.
stuff. I'm working on some new stuff for myself, actually. Yeah.
Thank you very
Okay,
much for
nice.
joining
So
us.
when can we look forward to that?
In 2023.
Okay, cool.
Right around the corner.
Yeah, that year runs by very fast, eh? But before we leave, is there anything you would like to leave the audience with, or anything anybody you want to touch before we leave? Go ahead.
So thank you for having me. Thank you for having me. I just want to urge the audience to continue loving one another, taking care of each other. Taking care of those who cannot help themselves. It's pretty important. I mean, we are our brothers' keepers. So that is my message to the audience. Keep listening to music too. Keep enjoying the music.
Thanks.
Yeah, but more importantly, keep taking care of each other.
Nice.
Thank
Well, Wizard, we want to thank you for being here. And I want to thank you personally for all the information that was gathered tonight because I myself, like I said, I'm a fan. So
Thank you.
to know the background and not just the song itself or the music itself, it
Thank
means
you.
a lot. So
Thank you.
I appreciate your time.
Thank you very much. I appreciate you guys having me. It was indeed my pleasure to share with you and to be with you guys for this hour.
Nice. And I hope we can do this again shortly.
Sometime.
Yes.
There you have it, ladies and gentlemen. The mighty wizard, the man that like you said, Joel, he was thinking ahead of time. Maybe he wasn't thinking that, but he was ahead of his time.
Definitely forward. Mm-hmm.
Definitely. To have a song from 1989, that would be how many years?
Long time ago.
That's like 30 something years, and that song could still, man, that's crazy.
So,
Well, yeah, interesting show again. I learned a lot. I know you the audience must have learned a lot. If you did not know who the wizard was, pretty sure you got to know him tonight. And I hope all the information was satisfying to you and like it was to us. So, Joel,
refreshing. I learned a lot because,
Yep.
as I always say, I'm not Dominican, but I learned a lot. And I'm looking forward to his new content because if that was so long ago and it's so relevant, I can only imagine what he's going to be coming.
Restless. Thank you for joining us. I hope you guys had fun. We shall do this again next week. Stay tuned for next week's video. Also, tomorrow, Sunday, TDN Radio from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. You have the reggae at the top with the man DJ Kaza. So big
Yes.
up Kaza. And oh my God, before we go, it's Nika's birthday tomorrow. Happy birthday, Nika.
Happy birthday, Nika. All the best to you.
Of course. Nike is always in the back, making sure you guys get the comments and all that stuff. So happy birthday, Nike! And of course, next week Wednesday from 7 p.m. Don't forget right back here on TDN TV with the man Anthony Drago for this weekend interview. We will see you guys next week. Have a blessed week and a blessed weekend. I am Novelist.
And I'm Jewel. Take care.
Peace.
Hi guys, it's Selena, and I will be live on Dissect Saturday, December 3rd at 7 p.m. Standard Eastern Time. You can watch on TDN TV, Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram. Make sure you tune in so we can dissect me EP, alright? I'm possible.